Where my dancers at? I
my face, my whole body, all that I am, will sing hallelujah to you.
Somebody say yes!
Please share the broadcast. Welcome on board. Comment, say hello so that I can see who is watching. I hope the lockdown is going well. I did a video about the lockdown, how to make the most of the lockdown. So please make some time and find the video. So today we are going to do episode 14 of my journey from courtship to life after honeymoon. And I'm going to do a question and answer time today. I'm going to answer some of the questions and my husband is going to answer some. So I've done an audio session with my husband about some of the questions. So I will play the audio, what his responses are, and then where I need to add more, I will add. So please stay tuned. Get your friends on board. Get your friends on board. If you've got any question at all about marriage, or you are preparing for your wedding and you need some clarification, you are in a relationship and there's something bothering your mind, please feel free to post it in the comments and I will answer them for you. Any question at all, any question at all. We'll sing hallelujah to you. Okay, so I'm going to start with some of the questions. This is episode 14. Hopefully I will do episode 15 because we've got quite a number of questions and I don't want this broadcast to be too long. So I'm going to start. I'm going to start with the questions that are to do with males, and I've got my husband's audio to share more light on the questions. So in the audio, I've asked him the question that the people have asked me, and then he's giving his responses. I'll be pausing the audio once in a while to shed more light if it's needed. Okay, so I've got a question here that I'll be grateful if you'll be able to give an advice on this to help this person. So the question is, should domestic chores be limited to women alone? My husband leaves all tired of doing it all alone. Even his clothes must be washed by me. If I refuse to wash his clothes, he will call family meeting. What should I do?
I believe that domestic chores should not be left to one individual because you are in the marriage together. The two has become one. The two has become one. It doesn't necessarily mean that spiritually it's just that the two has become one. The two has become one realistically in everything, if you really think about it. So because you're a team, you've got to play like a team in order to win as a team. Not just everything left to one person and the other person not really do anything. So practically I suggest that you can make a list of all the domestic chores that are available in your home, and then have a sit down to see what he can do to support you and what you can also do as well. Sometime as well it could also be the fact that you could look at your strength and then your weaknesses, and then based on that you demarcate exactly as to what each other can do to support each other, because what we don't want to do is to leave everything to the man or the woman, and then at the end of the day he or she is tired and he cannot attend to your other needs. And so you want to ensure that each other has got a fair share of work in the house. I mean, it won't kill in the shape or form for the man to support the woman. In even supporting the woman with the house chores, you might even find a level of romance in there. Believe you or me. Because by doing it, somebody said that by doing your home chores to support your wife, you are paying your dues, and it will pay off in the bedroom. It does happen. So but that aside, but on more on the sort of on the serious side of things, generally, you are together, you are in this together, and so you work together to ensure that happen. And if historically it has not happened, and so I take it that historically it has not happened, that's the reason why this question has been brought forth. If you are going to present it to him, you've got to be tact, you've got to be wise as to how you present it to him. It might not be a case of when you go, he would wholeheartedly accept to do or take on board all your feedback. You've got to start from somewhere. And I believe that you would know your husband, you know him as to what he's good at, or before you got married, you there was something that you saw that he was good at, or you saw maybe when you visited him, or once you're together, something that he enjoyed doing. Perhaps you want to start from there to say, could I realize that you're really good at this? Could you want to start to support me in that sort of respect? So eventually, do step by step. You get to the point whereby he will come in and then support you fully based on the list that you've made, and then so you do it on a face value, one by one. Don't lay everything on him at a go, or else it will deface him and it will put him off. So that is the little with you, but and the grace of God give you wisdom. I see how you present it to him.
Amen. Okay, Ken, just a quick one. I just want to find out, you mentioned that she should list the chores, the house chores. Should they do it together, stay together, and do the list together? Because maybe he could feel like you've just listed things and you're coming to present to me.
No, don't forget that at the moment he's not interested. At the moment, he's not interested in doing anything at all. So the list I was talking about was to give you a full idea about perhaps everything. You don't. I mean, this is suggesting you don't have to necessarily have to do a list, because you probably know in your mind exactly all the choices that are available in the house. And so if you do, then it's just a case of articulating it to him in the right manner. And to answer your question, because if historically he has not been interested, you don't want to. He wouldn't be interested in doing the list with you.
Okay.
And so that would be the point, the where to start from. It would be all right to do the list with him, especially if he's on board to say that I'm going to support you. Right. Then you do the list together.
Right.
But if he's, as I said, that from what I'm gathering, he's not been historically been interested, then no, you don't call him to say let's do a list. No, you do it for yourself, so you know exactly what you have available in your house to be done, and then based on what you know that has to be done in the house, and knowing him, and that's what he can support you with. And if it's on the list, then you take that one to him first. As I said, you start it bit by bit. It's just like saying that you can take the horse to the river, but you can't force him to drink. But if you put salt in the water, at least you can encourage him to drink. The same way as well, have a way of helping him to taste, to start to do, to start to come in. Because I don't, except by the grace of God, he probably will not jump in fully on board. So the list is more for you, or for you to have a mental visual of what is possible, and then knowing him as to what he could be good at. Then you start from there, and eventually you meet halfway.
Okay. There's also another. Thank you for the answer.
Okay, so that's the first question. Somebody wanting to know what to do with their husband because their husband does not want to do anything at home. Okay, so my husband is suggesting that you do a list if you can,
and then speak to your husband to find out what he can possibly do in the house. If you watch my previous episodes, I talked extensively about roles, knowing the strength, who is best at what, and not really having specific roles to say you are for the kitchen, you are for the bathroom. No, sit together, who is best at what, and what can they actually do. If your husband is a type who doesn't want to do anything at home, find out from him what is it in this house that you can actually do to help. Okay, even if it's taking out the bin, it's enough. Yeah, if it's to wash the plates after he finished eating, or it could be something in the house that he can do. And I've got this advice that I would like to give to young couples, because most of the time when you've just married and your husband is coming to the kitchen, most people would be telling their husband, "Oh, go and sit down. I want to do everything for you. Just sit down. Don't worry." Your husband wants to wash the plate, and you are saying, "No, just go and sit down." If you start doing that, eventually you are going to get your husband out of the kitchen. Okay, because there wouldn't be anything in the kitchen for him to do. So my advice for you is, if he comes around to help you, maybe you are cooking, he comes around, he wants to chop the onions or he wants to wash the plate, allow him to do it. Okay, don't make the kitchen, as a woman, don't make the kitchen your territory and say, "This is for me, this is my place, don't come here." No, if you do that, eventually you are going to be very tired, because maybe at the beginning you don't have children yet. When children start coming in, can you imagine doing everything in the house? You're going to be tired. Okay, so please don't sack your husband out of the kitchen. And the males, please help your wife. Help your wife. It's very important, because if not, he's going to be tired. And as my husband rightly said, if you help your wife, you may even end up getting a reward in the bedroom. Okay, because personally, sometimes when my husband does certain things for me and I feel it's very helpful, I would even go around him and start kissing him, start, praising him. Sometimes I'll pray for him, I'll bless him, I'll make a positive declaration. And of course, that day I may end up surprising him in the bedroom. So what he's saying is very true. And most women will tell you that once their husbands are very helpful, there are certain things you don't have to push your wife to do for you. She will automatically do because you are helpful. Okay, so I'm going to continue with the second question.
I've got another interesting one here as well. So there's this person who is also asking, is it compulsory for the man to help you in terms of house chores? So this is a different person.
So, I mean, it's saying that is it compulsory? I think in a way, I believe in a way, it comes back to the same thing as well. It is not necessarily the fact that she will be all over. But naturally, the man might not, or men are just pretty much, some men tend to be quite lazy when it comes to these things.
Okay.
And that's a fair point to say. They're not necessarily people who want to jump about, "Oh, I'm going to do your job," because if we look at the history of how things have evolved historically, or back in the days, the man go out and hunt, the woman stays home to do. The man come home and then then provide for the woman to put food on the table. It was a clear demarcation of roles. But things have changed, and because things have changed, men have to have a changed perspective of how things should be approached in the home. And hence, talking about compulsory, it is necessary. I'll use the word, it is necessary that the man, because of how things have evolved over time, it is necessary that the man will come in and then support in the house, so that both of you will be in a place whereby you are both and both have equal strength, and you are not stressed. There's not too much pressure on one person. And you are both able to meet others' needs accordingly. Because if you think about it, the woman goes out to work and he also goes out to work, and you come back in, and you both will probably be tired. But if the activities and arrangement in the house is done in a way whereby it's amicable, you realize that both of you are together in this, and you're helping each other to be able to ensure that you're meeting or working towards the same goal. And by so doing, your marriage is fresher each day. You are both fresher each day, and you are both able to support each other and meet each other's needs.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to ask another question. It says about trust. Should you trust your husband fully? Because I have given him all my trusts. That's from a lady.
Apart from God, right? if you don't have, if you apart from God, I don't see who else you can trust more and humanly apart from God. Because let's look at it as another way. Trust is a process, right? It starts from somewhere, and then you end up in a place whereby you are fully gone into it and said, I give you my whole heart, my whole soul, and I'm all into it. And so, yes, you should fully trust your husband. Your husband should fully trust you. It works and vice versa, as you can imagine, because the two has become one. You are working towards the same goal and the same vision. And so, yes, you should actually trust your husband. You should give your full trust to your husband. If you found yourself in a place whereby things are not working together, or there's a mistrust or distrust here and there, and you have to find a way of mending it. It may take some time. There will be an eventual process of basically coming together, because somebody said that if there's a broken trust, it's like a broken mirror. It doesn't mean that the mirror is completely damaged and cannot be used, but if you put it together piece by piece, you get the whole thing back again. Right. And that's how trust is. And so if there's been a broken trust, find a way to mend it. If there's any cause for him not to trust you in any shape or form, or for you not to trust him, then you have to get to the root of it. What happened? Then build that trust from there. Because if you're not having that trust, eventually you end up having a division. And when you have a division, that's where separation comes in and divorce comes in. If you are in a marriage together, you are committed to a cause. And if you are committed to the cause, you have to have a trust to ensure that you are, just like you are in a football team. There is only one goal, and that is the fact that both of you are working together to score. Yeah. You have to trust that if I'm a defender, I'm able to do my job as a defender. If you're an attacker, you're able to do your job as an attacker or midfielder the same way. So I have to trust you that you are capable of doing what you're supposed to do. And you have to trust me that I'm capable of doing what I'm supposed to do. So there's that trust that you have to have in each other and your capabilities and your abilities to get to the goal. Because at the end of it, you want to win. Right. You want to win. And as I said some time ago, I met a client who has they've been married for about 40 years now. And one of the things he said to me that the secret was that they were a team for over 40 years. Right. And that level of longevity in that marriage would not have come any further than it has been if there was no trust. If they were not actually being a place whereby they have confidence in each other, the ability for them to be able to do and then to work together to get to their goal. Yeah. So absolutely, there should be 100% trust in each other. But if that's broken, you've got to work at it.
Yes, okay. I think I can feel what a person is trying to say, because sometimes you don't want it to seem like the person has almost become your God. Because you can trust your husband or your wife in a way that they are almost taking the place of God, and you become scared. It's like, can I really put all my eggs in one basket? What about if it crash?
That's why I started at the beginning, that time apart from God. Okay. So that person can never take the place of God. Right. So you pray to God to give you the grace to be able to trust if there's been a cause for you not to trust him.
How do you keep the balance then?
So you now say so the balance really comes from the view that he allow him to be in his lane, and you also have to allow her to be in her lane. And that comes to the whole point of capability and ability. There's something that he can do that you can't do. There's something that she can do that you can't do. But when you marry your abilities and capabilities together, then that's where you realize that by working toward the same vision, that is where you realize that you don't have any cause not to trust each other.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I'm going to ask you maybe the final question.
Okay, so trust. Again, I've done a video on this, one of the episodes, and I mentioned that transparency helps you to build trust. So accountability and being transparent, it's when you are married, it's very difficult if you don't trust the person. It becomes you always almost be walking on eggshells. Yeah, if you don't trust the person, and you will not be secure if you don't trust the person. So it's important that trust God for the person. Trust God for the person. And that is why we should all have a personal relationship with God, so that no human being can take the place of God in your life. You know the place of God, and you are trusting God for your husband. You are trusting God for your wife. It doesn't mean that there wouldn't be things that they may be doing wrong. Okay, there could be something that they are doing that you are not very comfortable with. And there will be areas in the person's life that you may not fully trust them, because, for instance, there are some people, when you give them money right now, they will blow the money. So in that way, you don't really trust them with money. Okay, but you still have to try. Okay, this internet. I don't see how you live with a person if you are not going to trust them. So you have to find a way to keep transparent with each other, be accountable to each other, and trust God for each other. Yeah. So I'm going to continue with the questions.
To do with the marriage aspect. So there's another person here who is also saying, should I be bothered or not when my husband does not trust me, even if I'm saying the truth, and he never trusts me when it comes to my phone? So this is another angle whereby this person feels like she's telling the husband every truth, she's being herself, she's being transparent, but the husband just cannot trust her. So as long as she is concerned, I'm being truthful, so I can't be bothered. So she's thinking, is that attitude right or not?
So do not ignore it. I use the word should you bother. Should you bother? I will come back in a way to say that do not ignore it. It should not. It should be. Let me use the word used here, concern, but do not ignore it, because if it's not addressed, ultimately it will lead to a demise of certain aspects of the relationship. And when things are broken and are not resolved as they are, it festers and becomes something else altogether. So do not ignore it in any shape or form. But at the same time as well, and you use the word that he just cannot trust you. Let me also say that nobody is stand up to just not trust anyone. There has to be something along the way which is not sitting with him well, and whatever it is that's not sitting with him well, find a way to find out what it is and address it. And here's the thing as well. You said that you've done everything that you can to ensure that. But yeah, here's the key thing here is that do what you can to also to get him on your side. Yeah. When it comes to the whole thing about phones and also access to password and everything, I believe that or trust that you have nothing to hide.
Yeah.
If you have nothing to hide, don't be fazed by what he's doing. Really, when I said get him on your side, do everything to give him access to your phone, to your password and everything.
I can
but
hear some
also
people
have
say
a real
no.
adult conversation about what is it that doesn't make him to trust you, or that doesn't make him to understand your perspective. And just be as open, as transparent as possible. And if you have got nothing to hide, give him access to your phone. And when he tells you what it is, then work at it. Because you are not my reader. Because you are not my reader. Some of these things, he has his own perspective of what it is. If at that far you've not been able to decode the reason why this is happening, then you've got to ask. Apart from just praying to God to give you the grace, and to also to His grace to fall on Him, to understand where you're coming from. Have that real conversation. Holy Spirit come in and give you wisdom, and also help him to articulate where he is. For sometimes it could be something else, and it's channeling that energy or something that's happened somewhere else to make this a case when it's really not a case.
Yeah.
So until you find out or you ask, you will not be able to know. So that's the reason why you do have to find out what is it that, irrespective of everything that you've done, it seems as if it's not sufficient. He's still not satisfied. And then don't be defensive. Just be as open. Just go there to learn. Just go there to listen. And then because you want things to work, understand him and then make it work.
Right. Thank you. Some people does feel that when they give their phones to their wife or their husband to have access to, they may end up contacting some people on their contact lists, and start warning them even when it's not necessary, because sometimes you can have a chat with somebody that you are really getting on very well, and then your husband reads it and it's like, I don't like this connection. And they start sending the person messages and trying to fight them. So many people normally don't want to give their phones to their husbands or to their wives because of reasons like that. So how would you handle such a thing if you have a man like that? He doesn't trust you, but you also are afraid that if you give him your phone, he's going to contact some people that you don't want to have any issues with in that sense.
So there's a root cause there, and for him to do that, it means that there might have been a historical event that would have made him to come to that far, unless it's by his own insecurities. Then if it's his own insecurities, it's another thing altogether. But if there has been a historical event for him to do that, for him to say that, I don't trust you because of this person or this guy or that, then address that real root of that historical thing. That is the fundamental starting point of all of this. And then once you come from there, if there's somebody that he's not happy with, that you should be with, then by all means, because you want this to work, it's okay to let go of that relationship for the sake of, or for the peace in your home. You see, the man of God said some time ago, which is actually better to be at peace than to be right. Better to be at peace than to be right. Then you might be right 100%, but sometimes by keeping your mouth shut, and by you ignoring certain things, and also letting certain people and certain things go for the sake of the peace in your home, it is okay. Until certain lessons are learned or certain things are uncovered, that will vindicate you. Sometimes time works in our favor, and I also keep everything in prayer as well. I've just said times work in our favor, but when you pray to God that God will come through and really shine light on things, then it doesn't really become about time. It becomes a matter of God stepping in to unveil certain things and then to vindicate you for for where you are and where things have been. And sometimes you don't know where your blessing will come from. For all you know, maybe sometimes this person that you have to let go, the person that somewhere will come around to bless. But for now, for the sake of your peace until that time, for the peace in your home, just let that relationship go for now. I believe that when you have that peace in your home, and also for the progress of your marriage, and your marriage will grow. and when your marriage grows, you fall in love with each other more and more, and what both of you have together, and the love that you have for each other is much more to be treasured and much more to be protected than a third party coming into your marriage. Sometimes some of the conflicts that happen in marriage, not so much because of anything that happens between the couples, it's so much about a third party or a third thing as well, that causes some of these things. But when both of you are together in that peace, and then you working together and then fending off any sort of third party, you are stronger. When you are stronger, these third thing is no longer a thing, or it's no longer a person, because you are stronger together. So that's what I'll say. But the peace that is in your home is so much important, and so better to be at peace than to be right.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so those of you who are just joining, welcome on board. My name is Peace, and this channel is Married with a Life. We've got another channel called Single with a Life. So I've been doing this broadcast for the past almost a year now. My journey from courtship to life after honeymoon, and this is episode 14. So today we are just doing question and answer time. I've received these questions in advance, and I've just tried to get my husband to help with some of the answers, because most of them were to do with the males. So I wanted to hear from a male side. Sometimes when a woman is advising males, it sounds as if, because we're a woman, that's why you are saying that. So it's good to hear from what another male's mindset or perspective on those things, so that it will help you to know that if you are to do that, it's not weird for you to stand and protect your marriage or protect your wife, and vice versa. Okay, so if you are a lady and your husband does not trust you, or your wife does not trust you, if you're a male, for whatever reason, especially to do with something on your phone, maybe they feel you are chatting with somebody, you are chatting with your ex, and they are not comfortable with that, and they can't trust you. My husband is saying, basically, give them access to the phone, because if you are really being faithful and there is nothing to hide, you shouldn't have a problem with your husband going through your phone or reading your messages, or your wife taking your phone. You have to treasure your marriage more than any third party. Okay, an ex or a friend that your wife or your husband is not comfortable with, you've got to let that person go for the sake of your marriage, so that you can protect your marriage. Do away with third parties. Anybody that will stir a negative atmosphere in your marriage, that person is not for you. Anybody that is always calling or always trying to cause confusion between the two of you is not for you. You should get rid of such people from your marriage. Get rid of them. Okay, so don't allow a friend or an ex or a family member or anybody to cause you to fight and to lose the trust that you have for each other. So I'm going to continue to the next question.
Right. Okay. I think I've got so many questions coming in to do with the men. So I think it will be very good for us to hear the answers from a male side. That's why I'm keeping you here for another bit of time, please. So he said, what can be done in a situation whereby your husband doesn't like you having more than him? So if he sees any money with you, he will make sure it finishes, and if you refuse to let it go, he will come up with a fight that can last for days and can even lead to family meeting.
Insecurities, I think some of these things have to do down with the insecurities. Earlier on in one question, I said that the two has become one. It's not just a spiritual bond, a spiritual thing. Well, God in His own wisdom has said that when the two have become one, you have become one in everything. And so, really, what this is happening, this is happening here, is really to the detriment of your progress and also your investment and also your financial well-being. So, what have you got to lose if you really have got to a place whereby you are working together financially, I mean, you have got nothing to lose, but you get everything to gain.
Yeah.
Because what is yours is, for example, what is mine, or I've brought into the marriage, is my wife, and we know that what is hers, or what she's brought to the marriage, is also for me as well. There is no contention in that. And so, because there's no contention in that, we are, and it all comes back to the same vision and the same goal. Maybe perhaps one of the things, I don't know if you've ever done it, you may want to perhaps go back to the drawing board if you've never really discussed about what you really want for your marriage, what you really want for your home. What is the vision? What is the goal? What are both of you? What is the your home working towards? Because when you have that vision, you have that goal that you're working towards, the whole issue about money can be a reference point if there's an issue or point, if there's a mismanagement or if there's an issue. Because at that point you are able to be accountable to each other. You're able to be check each other's financial attitude. And so by so doing, when there's that goal, you all will have that thing you work into. So these sort of mismanagement and insecurities will not really be. In the case of insecurity, that's a different thing that he has to address. But I believe that the whole thing about that vision is very important. So really, I would say to this gentleman that he should really look at things in a bigger perspective and a bigger vision, because what she has is really for you, and what you have should really be for her. And then for you, who I believe it came from the lady who has actually brought this in as well. I would say, I think for now, in a way, you have to take the proactive step of actually, if that whole vision thing I talked about has never been a discussion, if you ever had it, find a way to sit down to what works best for him, how he listens to you, or what it takes for him to listen to you. Have him sit down and then put that before him as to what you work in, the vision. You should come up with the vision for the family, and that's where you start from. Then you bring the financial bit there, you're working towards it. So if all of that happen, then it's also a case of you make that reference to the vision and the goal that you're working towards. Then the second thing I say, and then that should be the first thing, pray. I mean, pray for him. Pray for him. If you don't pray together, to encourage you to pray together as well as a family, as couples, and if there's a child involved, or also working sort of for the betterment for the child, because when all of this, also something as well that you could also put before him as well, that when either of you or both of you are not here, it's going to be your children who have to take over from you. So everything that you are working for or working together on at the moment is really for your children. And so I can also see an element of selfishness, which also needs to be addressed as well. But let the grace of God give you the wisdom to address it with love. Because when he understands that you are actually, or you are in this and working for the perspective of love, it means that, and don't go fighting him, by the way, very important, don't go fight him. Go there and like Abigail in the Bible, be tact about how you approach this. And show that he's not offended. When it comes to the issue of money, men can have a bit of ego about it. By the way, at the same time as well, you as the woman, God has given you a certain grace to be able to address this ego of the man, and then to get to where you both of you want to get to. So these are a few things I'll say you should do.
Okay, I'll just say something here. If you've watched the episode 4, I actually outlined some of the things that we did before we even got married. So during the courtship, we had to look at our vision. Okay, and one of the things that we did was finances. Yeah, our financial vision for the family. How do we want to treat our money? Okay, is this his money or our money, or is it my money? Yeah, so one of the things that we do is our money is together. When I get paid, when it gets paid, we channel the money to the places that we want the money to go to. We save what we need to save. We pay our bills. We get essential things done. The rest of the money, if there is anything left, then it can sit in our individual accounts. And even though the money is sitting in our individual account, it's still not ours. Okay, my husband can ask me, do you have this amount of money? Can you transfer this to me? And I'll transfer to him, even though it's in my account. And in the same way, if I need money, I'm going to buy something, and maybe the money in my account is finished, I can ask him, can you please transfer this money for me? So there's nothing like this is my money. It's both of us, our money. And in the same way, if we are giving money out to somebody, we are doing it together as a couple. Not that I'm the one sending it to you, but we are sending it to you because our money is together. Okay, so if you understand your financial vision as a home, these contentions will not be coming in at all. They wouldn't be like, because my wife earns more than me, it's a problem. If she's earning more than you, it's a bonus because the money is still coming to the same account. It's coming to your joint account as a family, and you can use it for whatever you want to do with in future. Okay, so please watch the episode 4 if you're having issues to do with your finances as a couple. Watch it. And if you are single, everything that I've been talking about from day one, if you are not listening, you get married, some things will start popping up and you can't change them. You become difficult to change. Okay, I'm more particular about the singles because once you get married, there is nothing much, that you can do. If the issues come, you would have to find a way to make it work, or you stay in there and suffer peacefully. Okay, but if you are single, you can make amends. This is the time to change so many things. If you are speaking to a guy, you're speaking to a lady, you see that she's so selfish. Every time she's saying, this is my money. As for me, when I get married, my money is my money. As for me, when I get married, I want my wife to cook all my food. I want my wife to clean all my things. I want my wife to do this. I don't want to do anything at home. I just want to come and watch TV. That is already a sign that man is going to be a terror when you get married to him. It's a sign that woman is going to be a problem. Okay, so these are signs that you have to start taking note of. If not, when you get married, you end up doing everything. And then you are working. Some people, they are working. Their husband does not even want them to work. And meanwhile, the man is not working. He just wants to be in control. There's nothing wrong with you being in control, but you have to do it with understanding that the two of you are working together for a common purpose. And if you don't have that vision from day one and you've just married because you're of age, you haven't put any plans together for your future, that is how things will go out of hands. You start fighting over unnecessary things. Okay, so please put your vision together, your financial vision, your how do you want to treat family? How do you want to treat friends? Okay, how do you want to treat your home? These are all the vision that you have to plan together as a family. How many children do you want to have? When do you want to start having your children? All of these things. Don't just marry because you feel you are of age. It's time to get married. You've married and then everybody's just going. You are just moving every day. You take the day as it goes. No. If you do that, things are going to go wrong. You have to have a vision from day one and work towards that vision. Okay. If I said in one of the videos that I did that there was a time I went to work and I had to go and get food from the canteen. And I looked at the amount of money I was going to spend on just lunch. It was £7. And I was thinking about our financial goals. And I thought, if I should use the £7 for just one lunch, it will feel like I'm irresponsible because how am I going to say to my husband that I spent £7 on lunch when that £7 I can cook with it for a whole week? And I had to question myself before even making the attempt to buy that food because of the vision that we have as a family. Okay. But if you don't have any vision, any money that comes into account, you clear it. It will just go like that. Because there's nothing, you're just living. Anything goes. Yeah. So I'm going to continue with the next question.
It's also something to do with immaturity in terms of, especially when it comes to, excuse me to say, our African men. sometimes they feel like, as a man, you shouldn't let your wife have too much money than you, because if your wife is earning so much than you, then they will not respect you.
I'll say it's lack of education. There has been some misinformation, and also a reliance on tradition and also culture, which sometimes work into the detriment of many marriages. Fair enough. As I said, coming back to tradition, as I mentioned ago, things have evolved.
Yeah.
Now it's not just you working, and sometimes the woman also is contributing to the home.
And sometimes,
even if the woman is not even working at all, the woman is actually contributing to the betterment of your home.
Yeah.
So as things have evolved, you have to see this as for all of you, and then this lack of education needs to be addressed. And that's where sometimes there's misinformation, and because there's misinformation and culture and tradition and the bits that comes with it, it leads to certain demises of certain relationship and certain marriage. But it should not be so.
okay. Right. So you did mention prayer at some point. I think this lady also had a question about prayer. So she said that, what was the question again? Who should lead the family prayer? Is it the man or the woman? My husband doesn't like to pray, and it's killing my prayer life. What should I do to help? It's the same man who doesn't feel like she should have more money than him, and doesn't help with any household chores, and also does not pray.
So is it a question of he doesn't pray at all, or he doesn't like to pray sometimes when you want to pray? So you have to look at it perspective. So here's the thing. It's serious. So if it's a case of he doesn't pray at all, he doesn't like praying, or doesn't pray at all, then it's a different matter altogether, whereby deliverance and salvation and all of this has to be addressed. But it's a case of he prays sometimes, but perhaps not as often as you want him to pray, then that is also another thing where you have to be addressed by you. Just fine, you keep praying as much as you want to pray, give him some room and some space. That the grace of God says there are certain things that God has a way of by your prayer drawing him to want to pray more, and so you do what you have to do and allow God to do what he has to do on him. But you keep your prayer. You keep praying as much as you want to pray. The man has to be the priest of the home. But where it is not happening, there is nothing that is preventing you from stepping in as the intercessor, or filling the gap to pray and intercede for your family, for your husband, for your home, and to come out the whole family onto such a time whereby he will come to himself and say that, wow, I should really be doing this, because as the scripture says, as we see in Ephesians that the husband has to love the wife as Christ loves the church. Christ is the high priest and he is the head. The man is the head of the home. And if there's that sort of misplacement at the moment, hey, God has a way of bringing back and realigning things the way that it should be. But it's not a case of you have to give it up on him completely. You keep praying. You do what you have to do and leave the rest to God.
Okay, thank you. So in a home whereby the man has taken his place and he is praying as much as possible, he's the priest of the home, does he still have to be the only one leading the prayer meeting?
No, doesn't have to be the only person leading the prayer meeting. Then what is the salvation, or what is the salvation of the woman that matters then? Because the woman can also pray. The woman can pray the same way the man can pray, and sometimes the woman can sometimes pray even better than the man, and it's vice versa. But at the same time as well, for the sake of the proper order of things, the man is the high priest, but absolutely not. They both have to pray as they can by the grace of God.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. God bless you.
You're welcome.
Okay. All right. So that's Mr. Edem Amewowor, my husband. You can follow him on Facebook. He's got a Facebook page called Purpose Driven Men, and then Make It Happen. So if you check him out, he's been doing audios, and it's called Monday Motivate. Yeah, right. So in the aspect of prayer, those of you on the WhatsApp group, you do see me sometimes praying alone. Okay, even when we did the breakout session, there were days that my husband and I will pray together. There were days that I prayed alone. Okay, sometimes I wake up at dawn, join the prayer meetings on the WhatsApp group, and I pray alone. Okay, so you don't always have to wait for your husband before you pray. And it's important that all of us, whether male, female, you have a standing, you have a personal relationship with God, so that you can go to God yourself. Okay, and if you are single, this is the time you develop your prayer life, because as you can see in this case, this lady's, the husband doesn't like to pray. Okay, so if you are waiting as a single woman, you want to get married before you start praying, you want to hide behind the man and say, "Oh, I want my husband. When I get married, my husband will motivate me to pray. I want a man who can pray." And then you get married and the man cannot pray, or he doesn't want to pray. What would you do? Does that mean that there wouldn't be any prayers in the house? Okay, so you have to develop your prayer life now that you are single. And if you're already married, and maybe let's say your wife doesn't know how to pray, it doesn't mean that stay in bed and sleep. Because, well, if my wife won't pray, me too, I won't pray. If my husband won't pray, me too, I won't pray. No. You have to pray. Wake up and pray. Wake up, go to the hall, you alone, pray. When you finish, you come back and be praying for him, that God will change his heart, God will help him, and be encouraging him slowly, and he will come on board. There are times that I go on 40 days fasting alone. My husband is at home. He's not praying with me. I'm doing it alone. When it's time for me to pray, I'll pray. When it's the time for us to pray together, we'll pray together as a couple. But I do my own personal prayers. The same way, sometimes he can go for 40 days fast. And I'm not fasting with him. I'm eating. He's doing his fast. You see, so we all have to realize that this salvation is personal. Okay, even though you are married, in heaven, God is not going to see you as Mr. and Mrs. When you come before the throne of God, it's you as an individual. Okay, so it's important that we don't hide behind one person's anointing, or we don't get lazy because one person is not praying. As a woman, if the man is not praying, take the lead and pray. Okay, eventually he may come along. If he doesn't come along, continue praying. If you have children, start training them on how to start praying, get them involved, teach them the word of God. It's unfortunate that things are happening that way. Ideally, the man should be the priest in the house, taking charge of these things and leading you. But unfortunately, he's not doing that. You cannot die. You cannot let your Christian or your spiritual life to die because of him. So take things on board and start helping the children, teach them the word of God, and bring them up. Okay, there are so many single women, single mothers who have raised their children up, and their children have become men of God. They become bishops. They become amazing, doing amazing stuff. So sometimes, two is important, but sometimes even what one person can do, the two people cannot do. Okay, so look at your strength, what God has placed in you. Don't make the challenges in your marriage swallow you up, because every marriage has some type of challenges they go through. But the two of you, most of the time it becomes easier when the two of you can put your head together, you work as a team. It's easy to come through that problem quickly. But whereby one person is not on board, you still have to live. You still have to have a life. Life must still continue. So I'm going to love and leave you here, because I don't want this broadcast to be too long. I will come back. There are so many questions that I've received. There are questions on sex, oral sex. People want to know whether it's biblical, what are the spiritual implications. People want to know how to relate to the opposite sex. For instance, if you're a very nice person and you don't want to give the wrong signal to the opposite sex, how do you handle that? Okay, so we've got questions on in-laws. Some people say their mother-in-laws are on and off. 1 minute the woman is nice, and another minute she's like an enemy. How do you handle all of that? So I've got so many questions. Hopefully in 2 weeks time, I will come back and then finish them. If you've got more questions for me, any questions about things that I've talked, I've discussed already on this series, please send them to me. My number is 0044-750-600-9931. If you go on the Facebook page, my number is there. Send me a WhatsApp message. You can send an audio for your question, or you type it and send it to me. Some of the questions that are coming up, I've already addressed them in most of the series. Okay, so take your time, especially in this lockdown. Every day I try to repost them on my wall, just to let you know that these are some of the things you can watch. Okay, so go on my wall, Edem Amewowor, or on this Facebook page, Married with a Life, or you go to the Single with a Life Facebook page. All the series are there. Play them from day one, from episode 1, so that you build yourself up gradually. Every day, plan to watch one. In 14 days, you'll be done. Okay, so hopefully this probably will take us to maybe episode 20. You never know, because the more we get the questions, the more series we'll be doing to make sure that we cover as much as possible. So please be encouraged. Know that any problems that comes into your marriage is not to destroy you, is to bring the best out of you. So, the Bible says that there's no challenge that is beyond us. God will not give us any challenge that we cannot handle. So if they come, you have to look into the face of that challenge and say, I'm going to overcome you. I'm going to overcome you under my feet. I'm going to crush you under my feet. And pray for the wisdom of God. Encourage yourself. And David encouraged himself in the Lord. Encourage yourself in the Lord. Read the Bible. Pray. Don't be rude. Don't fight your husband. Don't fight your wife if you feel like she's not listening or she's not doing the things that you want. Just continue to pray for her. Pray and take charge over the situation spiritually and physically. Things will start taking shape. Okay, so God bless you. I'm going to leave you. Please share the broadcast with somebody before you leave. I've had to share with a lot of people whilst I was listening, so please do the same. If you are Swalian, as part of your Swalian culture, you need to share this broadcast. Let's spread a vision and make it grow. God bless you. We'll sing hallelujah to you. My hands, my feet, my whole body. Oh, da-da. Let me see if there's any question here. Or good evening. Nah, is still trying to pacify me. Okay. Hi, Sandy. Thanks for watching. Otilia, thanks for watching. Gifty, thanks. Didn't comment. I can't see you are watching. God bless you. Thank you so much. Jesus. Jesus, Jesus. My feet, my whole body. We'll sing hallelujah to you. This song is by Sami Okosu, and it sing a hallelujah. If you go on YouTube, the link is there. Ooh. Yes.
Tell your neighbor.
I will. Oh, you give me the best soul. Everything that is done for me, I will give him the best soul. I will give him the best soul. Next week, Sunday, I will be on the Single with a Live page, and I'll be treating a topic. I don't know the topic yet, but I'm likely to read through some of the testimonies that we've received. The book that we've written, Swal, The Impact, which was written by Swalians. It's all about their testimonies about Swal. So I will read some of them and then maybe share a few things about effective singleness. Oh, that I am. We'll sing hallelujah to you. After the end of this broadcast, the series, I'll be treating love languages. Love languages. So please keep an eye on this page. Sing hallelujah to you. Sing hallelujah to you. Woo! Have a nice week. Take care. Bye bye.